They thought the signal would vanish into the void, just another desperate plea swallowed by the stars. Thalor 9 was falling, its cities burning under the assault of the relentless Garnic swarm. No allies answered, no reinforcements came. But, deep in the far reaches of the galaxy, a forgotten receiver on Earth flickered to life. The message was old, cracked with static, barely intelligible. But it said one thing loud and clear. Help. And Earth had a reputation. It wasn't known for responding with diplomats. Within hours, the black silhouette of a Deathworlder fleet slipped out of hyperspace above Thalor 9. Not to negotiate, not to observe, but to end the war. These weren't peacekeepers. They were war machines built by a species that had survived extinction-level events and turned survival into science. The Garnic swarm didn't know what hit them, and when it was over, only Earth's warships remained in orbit, silent, watching, and leaving a single message behind. We heard you, Chew. The dying plea. The message was barely a whisper, a string of broken digital tones encoded in an ancient dialect few remembered. Yet somewhere in the swirling void of the Virex quadrant on the planet Thalor 9, a desperate hand had reached out, pressing the last operational beacon in a crumbling command center. The transmission was rudimentary, crafted with obsolete tech and choked with static. Most advanced systems would have discarded it as background noise, but Earth didn't. Thalor 9 had once been a thriving agricultural hub known for its bioluminescent forests and floating sky farms. But when the Garnic swarm descended, a race of insectoid conquerors known for stripping entire biospheres to feed their hive, all that beauty began to burn. The swarm moved fast, breaking planetary defenses in less than 6 hours. Cities fell. Communication networks collapsed. The remaining Thalorian leadership sent out a last cry for help into the galaxy. It wasn't aimed at Earth. It wasn't aimed at anyone in particular. It was a shot in the dark. Earth listens for centuries. Earth had remained isolated after being labeled a death world by the Galactic Council. The term wasn't given lightly. Death worlds were planets so hostile that survival alone required extreme adaptation. Earth was infamous not only for its violent weather systems, predatory fauna, and microbial nightmares, but for the species that thrived in it. Humans. By the time Earth reached the interstellar stage, their biology and psychology had diverged, so radically from most species that they were considered both a fascination and a threat. They were immune to diseases that wiped out colonies. Their soldiers didn't break under pressure. They evolved through it. In diplomacy, humans were reasonable, but in war, they were relentless. So when Earth picked up the broken SOS from Thalor 9, no council meetings were held. No votes, no debates, only action. Operation Black Spear Earth's orbital military command was known as the Hyperion Grid, a multi-ringed structure that circled the moon, containing both automated AI strategists and human decision-makers. When the distress signal was identified and decoded, it was passed up the chain of command in less than 20 minutes. The humans who saw it didn't see a chance for diplomacy. They saw a challenge, an opportunity to do what Earth did best. Survive and protect those who couldn't. Operation Black Spear was launched. From shipyards above Mars to asteroid-bound foundries near Saturn, the call went out to mobilize. Dreadnoughts powered by dark matter reactors were brought online. Stealth cruisers, fast attack corvettes, and long-range plasma artillery carriers were summoned. AI-controlled drone carriers swarmed into tight formations. The heart of the Deathworlder fleet was the colossal battleship, Hell's Wrath, a ship so large it could cast shadows on moons. Within 4 hours, the armada was on its way. The Deathworlder philosophy humanity did not fight like other species. They didn't rely solely on size, firepower, or even numbers. They relied on experience. Earth had fought amongst itself for millennia, producing military doctrines refined through blood and chaos. They had developed psychological warfare, adaptive, battlefield tactics, and guerrilla strategies no algorithm could predict. Moreover, Earth understood one universal truth. Survival isn't about winning. It's about making sure the enemy can't. Their ships weren't sleek or ornamental. They were weapons first, built with reactive armor plating, kinetic shielding, and hulls layered in ablative alloys. More terrifying, many were partially piloted by war-trained neural AI linked with human command cores, capable of learning from every shot fired. The arrival. When the Earth fleet arrived above Thalor 9, the planet was barely recognizable. Massive biohives of the Garnic swarm had replaced cities. Forests were scorched. The sky itself was polluted with spore clouds designed to choke out native life. The first warning came in the form of silence. The swarm's outer sentries went dark. Then, without a single hail or message, Earth deployed its opening act: orbital precision rail lances. These massive kinetic rods were accelerated to near-light speed and dropped from low orbit, each capable of obliterating a 10-story biospire in a single strike. The swarm's counterattack was swift, but poorly coordinated. They had never fought humans before, and they weren't ready. The Battle of Thalor. 9. The humans didn't just attack, they dominated. Hell's Wrath initiated saturation bombardment while stealth cruisers infiltrated the atmosphere and deployed shock trooper pods. These weren't just soldiers. They were biomechanically enhanced, armored in exo-rigs capable of shrugging off energy blasts. Many came with personal AI assistants embedded in their neural implants. They fought in squads but could operate alone. Each human warrior was trained in multiple forms of combat, fluent in alien tactics, and, most critically, unafraid to die. The swarm adapted, mutating their soldiers mid-battle, but Earth's war doctrine had long dealt with such threats. Portable EMP mines, biofire grenades, and high-frequency sonic weapons turned the battlefield into a killing field. Thalorian civilians, watching from their bunkers, saw a terrifying truth. Earth wasn't sending help, it was sending judgment. War without mercy. Within 18 hours, 70% of the Garnic structures were leveled. By the end of the second Earth Day, the planetary hive leader was extracted, interrogated by AI psi analysis, and executed. Human losses? Minimal. The swarm, despite overwhelming numbers, was built to fight predictably. Earth wasn't. Then came the message. Earth didn't ask for thanks. It left behind a warning beacon in geosynchronous orbit with one message in galactic basic: "We heard you." The meaning was clear. Earth hadn't come to negotiate. It had come to end the threat. A new era galactic channels lit up. No one expected Earth to respond to a random signal. The Council called emergency sessions. Debates flared over whether Earth had overstepped its bounds. But for the outer colonies, the ones often left to die by bureaucratic delay, Earth's intervention became Legend. Thalor 9 rebuilt, this time with Earth tech. The floating sky farms returned, and so did life. In honor of those lost and those who came, they renamed their capital city, New Terra. The Garnic swarm? What remained of it fled. Word spread that any world touched by Earth's fleet was protected now not by treaties, but by fear and hope. Humanity's choice. Earth had the firepower to become a conquering empire. It had the technology to dominate. But it chose another path. Intervention came only when needed. Aid was offered without demand. It wasn't mercy, it was policy. Earth had learned through millennia of war and near extinction that survival wasn't just about power, it was about principle. If you send an SOS into the dark, you better hope a Deathworlder hears you. Because if they do, your enemies won't get a second chance. What came after? Months after Thalor 9's liberation, the Galactic Council established the Emergency Response Mandate, a new protocol to allow rapid defensive action without red tape. Earth was unofficially made its guardian, though some protested. The Council's Warhawk factions warned of giving humans too much leeway. But outer worlds, especially the vulnerable fringe colonies, welcomed the change. A statue was erected in New Terra's central plaza, not of a soldier, not of a battleship, but of a hand, open, extended, holding a small signal beacon. Below it was a single inscription: "They heard us." Elsewhere in the galaxy, pirate lords began avoiding trade lanes near Earth territory. Slaver rings dismantled operations preemptively. And when another SOS pinged from the edge of known space, the response time was even faster. This time, the Deathworlders didn't just deploy. They arrived with allies. the legacy of the signal-in. The years that followed, the phrase "they heard us" became more than a memorial. It became a movement. Independent worlds that once lived in fear started building their own signal towers, not out of desperation, but as symbols. Children in border colonies learned Earth Standard alongside their native tongues. Hell's Wrath. And her sister ships were studied in military academies not for their firepower, but for what they represented. The moment when the galaxy realized that help could be immediate and absolute. Veterans of the Thaler 9 campaign often spoke not of glory, but of silence. The silence of space before the first rail lance struck. Of the sound Thalorian children made when they saw sunlight for the first time after weeks underground. And of the way even hardened Earth Marines paused when they walked through New Terra's capital and past the statue of the outstretched hand, because it reminded them